Welcome back, guys. It's Deja with the Built to Brand podcast. And listen, I have the girl here with me today, Miss Jade Godbolt. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm really excited about this conversation. We're going to get into all the things. She is a creator. She is a mom. She is a girl boss. She is an entrepreneur.
Wifey, child of God. Add
wifey,
them to
period, child
in
of
front
God.
of everything else.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, we love it. We love it. So we're going to talk about all the things, and I'm super excited. Welcome to the podcast, y'all. Okay, so Jade. Listen, I think let me give y'all a backstory here because we had to just do a little bit of a recount. So when I met Jade, I had just moved to Dallas. I think it was about 2015 or 2016. We were both without children.
Yes.
I think I had just met my husband at the time. And you were just starting down your journey.
Yes, just met my now husband at that time.
Yes. Yeah. And we said that was 9 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I feel very seasoned by that.
We know some things
We
now.
do. We've learned a lot. We've gained a lot of wisdom in 9 years. So I'm excited to get into it and just, reconnect and kind of, figure out where this conversation is going to go today, because we could go in a lot of directions.
We can go in a lot of directions.
Yes.
Well, let's start with the direction of entrepreneurship and how we got here.
Yeah.
So that's actually how we met. I hosted a panel in Dallas, and I remember Jay was like, everywhere, and I was like, I need to know this woman. Can you please come and help me facilitate this group of women? She was like, yes, I'm down. And then here we are.
Yeah.
So how did you know, as we talk about being a creator, I consider you to be one of the OGs, especially in the Dallas market. How did you know that this was kind of going to be the thing? You left a job?
Well, I didn't have a job. I was in grad school about to do the whole interview process. And it was very, I don't know what's happening right now, but I guess this is what I'm supposed to do kind of era, because I was in my last semester of grad school and I had always been posting on YouTube since 2010. So that was through undergrad, grad school, and was building this Lipstick and Curls platform for a while, but it never dawned on me at all that it would be my full-time career until this kind of season where we kind of met in that same era. And I had gotten an opportunity to shoot a Colgate commercial. And I also was cold emailed by this woman who ended up becoming my manager with an agency based in LA. And I was also simultaneously realizing that the field of study that I was in, which I was in grad school for higher education, specifically in organizational leadership. So I wanted to be an administrator on college campuses and stuff like that. And so I realized then I was getting these opportunities to do special internships and things. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Like, it was very drastically I love this and now I hate it.
Yeah.
And I always told myself, when I graduate from grad school, I'm going to go get a real job and do that. And so, long story short, ended up getting the Colgate commercial, meeting the manager, and having this talk with God. I think I'm going to take this leap of faith. I think I'm supposed to be creating content full time. And this is 2016, so it was still very new to be a full-time YouTuber and all of that, and brand deals were happening, but it wasn't as obviously mature as it is today. I would even say that we are still in our toddler days when it comes to this industry. Okay, we still got a little.
What do we say? It is. It's a little unregulated.
It's a little unregulated, a little unhinged. At times, very much like toddlers. So I was in the infancy back then where we're I don't know what to do with this baby, so that's where I was. And so there was no knowing what this was going to be. It was, I got the contract with Colgate and I said, I can pay my rent for a year with this. Okay, well, God, I'll just figure it out after that. And it just worked out. It worked out. The Colgate thing was a massive exposure point. I was already kind of having some momentum, but that definitely, from a brand perspective, put me on a different level. And I also was linked up with YouTube Black when that first started. So I was I went to LA and kind of had that moment of like realization that like I'm not just by myself kind of like creating content on YouTube. Like there's a whole world of creators, especially Black creators, who are like, this is what they do.
Yeah.
And they're doing it at such a high level that I'm like, I'm just a little girl from Dallas. Like I ain't doing it like they doing it. So that was also kind of like a reality moment of like, whoa, like I need to like really step into this and know that like this is a thing. And so that was kind of where it shifted for me mentally, that this could be what I do.
Yeah. So what do you think, as you were in those beginning stages of trying to figure out like a platform and really like leaning into community, what do you think stood out and kind of let you, scale as you have?
So I think, to back up just a little bit, before I decided to go full-time as a content creator, I was hosting a lot of events in like the natural hair space. So if anybody remembers, there was a time, there was an era of,
Wash and go.
Girl, there was a time when we were getting together as a community of women and men who were figuring out what to do with our hair, but we were having these gatherings at, where we would have a brand, a hair care brand, or somebody host, and cater or sponsor, if you will. And so I was hosting these Curls Over Brunch is what it was called in 2014, 2015. And so I went across 7 cities in the US and hosted brunch with my followers, with my subscribers at that time, because it was very much YouTube. And it was about anywhere between 40 to 80 women in each city. And that made it very real for me that there were people behind the screen and behind the likes and the comments, and there was real impact being made. And so that was how I realized that community was such a big part of creating content. And even for me, like I was in a sorority in college. I was always in, extracurriculars, Girl Scouts growing up. So I was always a girl's girl in that sense, where I was like, let's do stuff together. Like, let's get together and, have a mission behind what we're doing and help the community and help each other and learn and gain wisdom from each other. And I was always that girl who liked to organize. So that's what the events started out as, and that was what kind of bridged that gap between real life and digital life. And I think that's also what set me apart as well, was that I never only looked at my platform as a digital space. I always looked at it as a physical space, as these are real people. When I go to the mall, when I go to different cities, like I have women that come up to me at that time, for lipstick and curls. I'm teaching them how to wear their curly hair and feel confident about themselves and all of that kind of stuff. But it's even that to this day still happens, but now it's kind of morphed into, I'm inspired by how open you are about your faith. I'm inspired by the way you've shown us how to transition from being, because I won't even claim to be a girl boss anymore, because I'm not that. I am so soft. I'm so just Jade. I just do a lot of different things. I'm called to a lot of different places, a lot of different people. And I embrace this idea that like, I am in a humble position of service. So wherever I show up, I'm going to serve. And part of that is serving my community online. And I take that heart with me in everything. Like I want people who encounter me in person and online to feel my heart.
I love that.
And so that's what I lead with. And I think that's what sets me apart in a lot of ways.
That is amazing. And I think a lot of times we will, creators and people who have built worlds for themselves, a lot of times that doesn't transition to in person, right? And so I can attest to over the years of seeing you out and about, like you are who you are in a digital space.
Thank you.
As well as in person. And it's really beautiful to see. So I'm super glad to have you here too. Thank you for doing this. Again, I already thanked her before we got on here live, but thank you. So tell us a little bit about YouTube, right? So I remember when YouTube was king, right?
She's still queen/king.
Listen, we're going to talk because I think people are starting to pivot back, right? And so for a long time, that format and that long form kind of vlog type content was where it was at. And it wasn't as precious as it is right now. Sometimes I feel like things are so overproduced. People are looking, I mean, CapCut is great, but like it is requiring a lot more skill, and sometimes it feels inauthentic. Yes. What was your experience, and what kind of, as you started to say, like, I like YouTube, and what made you like that as a platform when you started out?
Yeah, so I think for me, it was about community even then. Yeah. It was more about finding other women and connecting with other women who had similar hair type as I did. So this is, you're talking 2008, 2009. I'm just entering college. I'm, 17, 18 years old. And I'm like trying to embrace my natural hair. I hadn't seen my natural curls in years. And also there's these women online on YouTube who are doing these videos where they're talking about their hair. And I'm like, I've always loved hair. I've always loved playing and stuff. So like, this is so cool, because I've also had an era of my just journey on the internet where my sister and I, my twin sister and I, were catfished a lot. And so in the MySpace days, if you know, I'm not going to go into it a lot, but the people that know that there was a time when, you could go on MySpace and type in my name or my sister's name, and there would be 1,500 profiles pop up with our pictures. Yes. Oh my gosh. That was my middle school and high school experience. Wow. Was like, because we were on MySpace. We were coding, putting little layouts on the...
you had the music.
Very much millennial, okay? Very much millennial. So, like, we loved that stuff. And I think that was what helped me kind of transition into YouTube. I was very into it, because I'm like, oh, you can, like, edit videos and, like, post and stuff. And so I was always intrigued by that. Awesome. Mind you, I'm not traditionally trained in any sort of media capacity at all. I self-taught, Google University, YouTube University, everything that I do. And that was kind of the fun in it too, though, like the exploration of it all, and really like learning something. If I saw something that I liked, I just figured out how to do it for myself. And that was like my journey, even to this day. Yeah. I still do that. And so even back then, YouTube was this like completely new open space to just be who you wanted to be, instead of maybe who you were told to be in real life. And I think that still has an allure today, social media in general. Like you can truly be whoever you want to be on social media, on YouTube. And that has its pros, but it also has its cons. And I think now you're seeing just that exacerbated to an extent where back in 2009, 2010, none of us could have imagined that this industry would be what it is, like had no clue. And so I think as a creator, I anticipated that this would be a big deal, but I never anticipated it would be like the thing that I lived and raised my kids on and like bought houses with, like I never thought that would actually be a thing, because it didn't exist before. So I think that's some of the purity of what YouTube was that it was just open. And it still maintains some of that purity now. You have the ability to start something today, and it could literally change your life a month from now. But also it could take 10 years. It could take a long time. There's no measure. It's if you are called to it, it will happen. So it's got to be more than numbers on a page in growth and saying, I'm going to have 10,000 subscribers by this date, and then I'm going to post this many videos each month. Like, it has to be more than that. It can be some of that because that helps you be consistent and have a frame of mind and a focus. But so much of it is, I have a passion for this. I love what I do. There's a mission behind this. And I find that the people that utilize their platform in an authentic way are able to have such a long experience on the internet, because they're simply being reflecting, right? Their real life into the internet life. It's the people that come with strategy day one and have all these like expectations day one that find themselves struggling with burnout. I mean, I struggle with burnout too, because that's going to happen as a creator. Absolutely. But if you don't have the mission part, the heart part, it can be such a grueling experience. For maybe you do make a lot of money out of it, but what does your quality of life look like if you have all these followers, you have all this money, but like you don't feel true to who you are showing up as online? And that will happen. Absolutely. There's no getting around that if you are trying to perform. And even if you are performing in a place where you're like, this is me though, like I'm authentically this. And it's like, today. 2 years from now, you're not going to be this person. And what happens when the things are shifting, seasons are changing, and you are so locked into who you are today that you have a very, very hard time, if you can, even let go or experience what it would be like to transform, because you're going to be called to that. It's just a matter of like, are you going to say yes to the transformation or not?
Wow. So let's talk about the transformation.
Yeah.
Friend. This is my camera right here, right? Okay. Listen, guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jade made a decision, and a decision that most creators would be like, I got to kind of keep doing what I'm doing to maintain. And you made a decision to completely shift your purpose, your vision. You took a moment of pause. You had some reflection. You let God lead the way. Tell us all about the departure from lipstick and curls.
Yeah, so that was a very scary decision, and one that I honestly did not fully understand what I was being asked to do when I did it. I think for me, with God, He'll ask me to do things before I understand completely why I'm making the decision. It's like I understand enough to know this is a big deal and this is a step of obedience and all that kind of stuff, but I'm glad that He doesn't allow me the understanding of the full picture, because I think if I understood the full picture, I would have said no at that time.
Okay.
If I would have been able to see what it looked like to get to today from then. So I changed my name on all my platforms in 2021. It's 2025. Yeah. I'm just now feeling like I am here. I'm blooming. Like it was years. And still, it ain't like I stopped posting and got another job and walked. I've been online every day or every other day since then, because this is all that I do. Like God didn't release me from being a content creator. He just said, let go of who you were before.
Exactly.
And walk this out and give this platform to me, back to Him, really, because I do believe that He gave it to me to begin with. And it was one of those things, I think, in my journey, I tried to give context to what He was doing without really understanding fully who He was yet. Yeah. So it was like I felt like I was giving up something that was mine. Yeah. And it's like it was never mine. Yeah. And how many times do we like take ownership of things, especially gifts that we have, and start to say, well, I'm just going to use this gift because it worked. Yeah. It works. Yep. And so like my gifts work whether I do them for God or myself or anybody else. Yeah. Right. And so like you start to wield that sword, that gift over and over again in ways that it's just like, okay, God's like, I'm giving you grace to do this thing. Like you're my child. I want you to explore and discover and all those things. But at some point, He's got a plan for the gifts. Yeah. Right. And if we're not willing to give them back to Him or submit them to Him, then He will dry it up. Yeah. The gift don't work without Him. Exactly. Right? So it's like I got to a place where
sometimes we lose sight of that, right?
Oh, yeah. Because we think it's just always going to work.
It's been working. It's always going to work. And I'm just going to exploit the thing that's been working. Yes. And not necessarily attributing that blessing back to
that's what the world says. Yeah. The world says, keep striking the iron while it's hot. Get on that train, ride that out until the wheels fall off. Like literally, these are the phrases that we like grow up with, right? So it's like no wonder so many of us, especially high achievers, come into these positions where we're like, it's not working anymore. Yeah, it's not doing what it was doing a year ago. Yeah. Like what's happening? What's wrong with me? Yes. And it's like there's nothing wrong with you, the person, but you have to change your mindset and what you're doing with the things, doing with the gifts, the way you're like. What type of relationship do you have with the thing? Yeah. Because that's where things get messed up. Yeah. So what had happened, and this is a conversation that people in social media, especially believers, I feel like need to be having, which is, are we building idols out of our personas, out of our identities, out of our platforms? This is not just secluded to pastors raising themselves up higher than Christ because their picture is all over the church and on the books and all the things. Like it's not just about them. It's about if you have a platform with 10 followers or 10 million, are you propping yourself up to the point where you are overshadowing and creating an idol for yourself and for the other people that you are quote unquote influencing.
Wow.
Like that's a real thing, and it's very spiritual.
Yes.
The influence that we have is a gift, but it can be used for the kingdom or not. And what the enemy wants to do is have you use your influence outside the kingdom. And he will trick you. Yeah. He'll say, oh yeah, this is a great opportunity over here. You can make a lot of money doing this over here. You just have to make you the God.
Yeah.
You just have to make lipstick and curls what everybody loves.
Yeah.
And not point people to God. Don't talk about Christ. Don't do that now, because people don't want to see you talking about your faith.
Yep.
They don't want to hear about God this and God that.
Yeah.
So don't talk about it.
Yeah.
When I changed my name, I lost thousands and thousands of followers. I was on a negative decline for like 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
My platforms did not grow. They were dropping. I was losing. I mean, I dropped.
What did that feel like?
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, God, why am I still doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
Can I just do something else?
Yeah.
Like, let me go get a job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, if people don't want to hear this from me, and also I don't even know who I am, because I'm becoming somebody that you created, but I don't know her.
Yeah.
But I'm her. That's a very weird, it's like to God, and in the context of the world and everything going on, it's like, how do we hold space for literally being everything to him and at the same time being a speck of dust? Like everything and nothing at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like the world will tell you that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And like, why think that? It's like, you have to understand. God is so big and his ways are higher than our ways that you have to realize that it is completely possible and is the truth that he created all of this just for you. Yeah. And at the same time, it ain't about you. Yeah. It is not about me. Yes. But all of this is for us to get to where he desires us to go. Like he has a purpose for each one of us. So we have to hold space for that and not get too big-headed that, oh my gosh, I got a blue check and I got all these followers and all these brands want to work with me and I'm just her. Yeah. It's like, I am not her. Yeah. Like that's the persona that I used to wear, which was like, I'm the best one in the room. When I walk in, you're going to feel it. You're going to see me. I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to have the biggest smile. I'm going to perform the best. I'm going to be her. And you're not going to be able to question my worthiness of being in this room. And that is what I had to let go of. Let go. I don't operate. I don't subscribe. I don't move like that anymore. Wow. I am completely submitted and humbled to be God's kid. Yeah. And I am simply a representation, a vessel, a tool for him. So like that's it. So when I go in places, I'll be Jade. Like don't try to prop me up because I don't want that glory. It don't belong to me. Oh, it really don't.
I am like completely enamored right now because, like we said, 9 years ago, I met Lipstick.
You did, and she was lipstick and curling. Yes, at that time.
Getting God first. Yeah. In this journey is the thing that most people don't do. Yeah. And for you to use your platform and really like put a line in the sand and say, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. This is who I attribute my success to. This is who I give thanks to. This is who my family, how my family is rooted and how I'm upbringing my kids. Mm-hmm. Like that is just something that you don't see. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. Like, you. Oh my gosh. You know, we go through these seasons and it is that almost like we don't know who we are.
We don't
know.
We don't. And the thing is, it's like everybody's figuring it out. Yeah. Like, and it's like
we're not being honest about it all the time.
That part. You're not being honest about it.
I'm figuring it out if anybody cares. But yes, go ahead.
Me too. Yeah. It's like I am simply experiencing who God has made me to be. Yeah. I am not deciding because that's what I used to do. Mm-hmm. Like growing up, it's all this pressure to like be somebody.
Yes.
So you grow up and you're like, okay, I'll take a little bit of that she do. I'll take a little bit of that he do. And I'll like create this personality that makes people happy around me. Because I'm a recovering people pleaser. Okay. I believe that the best content creators out there are people pleasers. That's kind of the trajectory of like, because you have to serve. But
leadership.
The people pleaser aspect, identity, is just simply the right thing twisted. You want to serve people. You want to show up for people. You want to give what you have inside of you to people because that brings you a joy. Like there's something about sharing our gifts with people that is so joyful, and we want to do that, right? But when it takes that slight turn into people pleasing, it takes that slight turn into, if I don't make you happy, then I'm no longer worthy. I'm no longer valuable. That's when you've gone wrong. And so many of us are listening and watching and learning from practices and habits of the world and of people before us, older than us or whatever, that have us operating in this position of, if I can't prove it to myself, if I can't show you, if my works aren't there, then I'm no longer worthy. And that is, I have detached from that.
Yes.
I am like, to some people, you would look at me and you would say, well, of course you can live that life because you got your husband, you got your kids, you got the house, you got the platform, you have everything. Like, of course I'm no different. My parents, divorced, lots of trauma, lots of unhealedness, lots of unforgiveness, lots of craziness growing up, lots of bad decisions, like all the things.
Yeah.
It's not that this life is only meant for certain people.
Right.
It's that I've made choices that reflect my obedience and my faith in God.
Yes.
The one living God. The one who's actually with us all the time. And I believe his word. And I believe who Christ is. So I believe in repentance. I believe in salvation. I believe in, if you give yourself to God, if you seek ye first the kingdom of God, all these things will be given unto you. Like, chasing righteousness gets you everything you've ever wanted in the right posture. Because the things that you want in your unhealedness are not the things you actually want.
Yeah.
That's not you wanting that. That's your trauma wanting that.
Yeah.
Your trauma wants what you see other people have. Your healed self wants what God wants for you, because he wants everything good you want for yourself. He wants for you more.
And fully relinquishing that in his time.
Yes. And letting him decide, because he's already decided the plan.
Yeah.
When you start deviating and you start being like, well, I want this instead of that. I want blue instead of red.
Yeah.
I want him instead of the one that you chose for me.
Right.
Like, when you start doing that, that is simply repeating that first sin in the garden.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do what I want to do, not what you want to do, God. And how many times do we make decisions in small or big ways where it's like, I don't want to do what you want me to do, God. I want to do what I want to do based on what I see in my world. And all of those sorts of questions and fighting with myself was part of this journey of like releasing lipstick and curls, and the way that I operate now with my husband, with my kids, with every relationship in my life. I have done inventory. Everything that I have a relationship with, my phone, the internet, people, everything is submitted. And I've had to really go in with a fine-tooth comb and say, where am I being toxic? Where am I out of step? Where am I choosing what feels good to me instead of how God would want me to operate in this relationship? And especially as women, we're big on relationships.
Yeah.
Like, things are all connected for us.
Absolutely.
So if you have connections that are out of touch with God's view of it, you're looking through things with rose-colored glasses, and it's not the real picture.
I'm like at a loss for words. I've interviewed many people, and this is the first time, one, I wish I had a notepad so I can write some things down and take inventory when I get home. But also, like, I feel like my eyes are welling up with tears, and I am emotional because I identify with a lot of what you're saying right now. And I think that taking inventory of who you are,
yeah.
where you are, what things are controlling your space, what things you have unhealthy relationships with, who is in your life, like those things. And it's like, you don't do it once, right? You got to keep taking inventory
constantly. And this is why it's so important to find those people, whether it be your spouse. For me, it's my husband. Like he gives me this safe space to really explore these things.
Let's talk about your husband. Okay, because let me start with a little preamble.
Okay.
Again, when we met, you were Lipstick and Curls, girl boss extraordinaire.
Yes.
I was still Deja, but Deja, and we know behind the scenes, I've worked marketing, advertising for many brands. I have been and have identified with a girl boss. And I, today, am in, I'm not even going to call it a soft girl era. I am just living.
Yeah.
And I am living and I am joyful. But I realize that it takes a certain man to be with girl boss stage.
Yes.
It takes a certain man to be with Lipstick and Curl. Yes. Right? So what did that look like when you guys met, and what has that transformation
he was
looked like?
Also his version of Lipstick and Curls. His was Swagbolt.
Yes.
Because our last name is Godbolt.
Yes.
But he was literally, his name on Instagram was Swagbolt.
Yeah.
Because that was the nickname people gave him, because he was always, outfits on lock, shoes, everything. He was that guy, right? And that's what attracted us to each other, was like, oh, you that guy, I'm that girl. Like, we're both like that. Yeah. And very much so in our cockiness, our ego, but like, God knew even then that we were going to help each other. And everything, not everything, but so much of who I am today is because he did it first. He literally walked this out, and I witnessed it intimately. I'm seeing him let go of that persona behind closed doors. He didn't have a huge platform like me, but he had that persona. People knew him like that. That's who he was known. He gave away, he used to have a collection of probably 400 or 500 shoes. Wow. And worked at Nike. That was his, identity. And for years, he was giving away shoes, has given away everything that he had. He is at a point where he has completely detached from the man he built himself up to be, because he also recognized that there was trauma in his life. He was searching for his identity in ways that were toxic, and a lot of things that he experienced growing up, very traumatic things he's open about and public about, but a lot of very traumatic things that it's like, how could you ever get over that? Stuff like that. And I witnessed him, face on the floor, tears, shambles, just letting it all go. I've witnessed him forgive people that I was like, at the time, how could you? Yeah. Ain't no way, what? Yeah. I've experienced him operate with the Holy Spirit in a way, I always tell this story of this moment. This was first year one of our marriage, and we were, we had this staycation plan, and we went to Fort Worth. Yes. And got in this huge fight because he used to be addicted to porn. Okay. And at this time, he's trying to get over it, and he had a slip up. And so on our little staycation, he tells me that he had a slip up. And I'm furious, because I'm like, what do you mean? And how are you, And so, pause. Yeah. I don't know anything about porn addiction. Okay. So even when he was opening up to me about it, I was like, what, you watch porn? Who cares? What are you talking about? Yeah. At that time. Yeah. Okay? I'm not understanding the dynamics, how deep it was for him. He had a very serious addiction that started when he was 8 or 9. Oh, wow. Which 90-something% of men are dealing with a porn addiction. So it's a very real thing that is not talked about. Yeah. And it is tainting the taste of sexual intimacy of men every single day. Wow. In marriages, in family dynamics, all this stuff. So it is something that's underneath the surface that nobody wants to talk about, but is very much so affecting everybody. Absolutely. Right? In some way, shape, or form. So he has to slip up. I walk away from him for a while. I get on my Google University, and I'm like, what should I do when my husband tells me that he da-da-da? So we come back together, and I'm like, well, you need to do this, and you need to do that. And he's like, where and when did you get a degree in X, Y, and Z? And we get in this huge fight. Yeah. We are I mean, yelling, screaming, all the things. I said, let's go home. And he's like, no. And I'm like, let's go home. So I'm crying the whole way back. We get to the house. We're still going at it. I am giving him the business, y'all. I am cursing him out. I am going in on him. And he turns around and looks at me and says, I love you. And gives me a hug. And I was so taken aback. I was like, how? How did you just do that?
Yeah.
Like, how did you, when I am giving you the best I got,
right?
I am popping
Still
off.
Find love.
Look, I was like, whatever that is that you just like touched, whatever you used in that moment, I want that.
Yeah.
And that is what flipped it for me. I have never been the same since that one moment.
Wow.
Because it was like I received love in a moment where I did not deserve it at all. Yeah. And there are not a lot of people that can even get me to the place of anger and frustration that I was even at in that moment.
Yeah.
So when he turned around and did that, it was like, okay, now I'm submitted.
Yeah.
Now I need, like, teach me, show me. Because I had
Yes.
been watching him for a minute. There's so many other things that had happened before this point where he was literally like convicted. He left Nike. He was on this like journey as a man, and he wasn't forcing it on me.
Yeah.
I was just watching him.
Yeah.
I was watching him study the Bible. I was watching him literally, like I said, face on the floor crying. And I'm like not really understanding why he's so emotional and what's going on, but I'm bearing witness.
Yeah.
And simply doing life with him, and I'm experiencing these things with him. And it wasn't until that moment that I was like, oh, okay. There is something here that is beyond anything that I know.
Yeah.
It's like I know it, but I don't know it.
Yeah.
It's like we know God, but we don't really know God.
Ooh.
And we don't know his love the way that we know it. It's this, again, it's like we're everything and nothing at the same time. Like we know everything, but we don't know anything at the same time. And so that started this journey of exploring and discovering who God and who Christ really is and what it means to be able to like listen to him and discern and treat people with grace and forgiveness in a way that I never experienced myself before, except through him. And then it's like, again, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Things that I had never been privy to before started to be revealed to me.
Yeah.
I started to understand and feel presence and his love in ways that I'm like, okay, this can only be experienced. This is not like I heard a sermon and it changed my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is, I'm experiencing love between me and a person.
Yeah.
Because that's God's favorite way to do it.
Yes.
God's favorite way to love on us is through somebody else.
Absolutely.
Hello. Love God with all your heart.
Yes.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
That is not talking about self-love. I hate when people, let me not use the word hate. I strongly dislike when people try to make the argument that you have to love yourself before you can love other people. That is not, we are very ignorant in this society because we still try to use the world's analogies to describe divine principles. It's not about loving yourself. It's about considering yourself worthy of God's love. If I believe that I'm worthy, then I can love other people. Then I can receive God's love. That's fullness.
Yeah.
That is enough.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that I still have to have control of the love when I say, well, self-love is in there somewhere. No. It doesn't say anything about you loving yourself in those first two commandments.
Yeah.
And Christ said those are the most important.
Yeah.
Because God's favorite way to love us is through other people.
Yeah.
So it started to become this thing where when I was having a hard moment and I was working through trauma and I'm healing and I'm going to therapy and postpartum and all these, because life is still lifing.
It's still lifing.
Right?
Yes.
Like I've had 4 kids in a matter of 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot of life has been lifing, right? So I'm going through all these moments, and there would be times where the Holy Spirit would reveal to me like, I'm hugging you right now, and it would be my husband. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like his arms were God's arms because we are all vessels, either for the Holy Spirit or for other stuff.
Amen.
Other spirits, okay? So if you don't know what's running you, something is running you, and you need to take inventory.
Absolutely. I think you said something that was beautiful and that a lot of I've been seeing a lot of conversation, chatter online with Black men who are feeling as if Black women are not submissive. And I think it's important to call out what you said was this transformational moment of submission when you said, I am watching this man transform.
Yes.
And I am taking his lead.
Period.
And there was nothing inside of me that did not signal that this was a safe place for me to be submissive and to relinquish what has been probably in a lot of instances like a defense of like, I have to show up like this.
Because men have placed us in these positions where we are having to operate in masculine ways to survive. This is not lost on me. This is why so many of us don't get the permission to be soft, because we've been mishandled so much. And my husband is the first one to say, men have to go first. I don't care. I don't care what Eve did in that garden. Adam, you're the head, whether she made a different decision or not.
Period. I agree.
It has to start with you. So, look, it had to start with my husband. I wouldn't be able to talk this talk if it hadn't started with him. He still, to this day, all starts with him. There's a bigger responsibility on him. And I think men, in a lot of ways, have their own like challenges and struggles. The world is after them, right? Just in different ways. And it's when men cowered away from the call to stand up and man up. Like you have to lead. Being a man is it's a requirement that you lead. It's not a requirement for you to be possessive, controlling, like none of that. Leadership is not about you being the front of the line and you having the first and the last word. That's not leadership. Leadership is serving whoever you're leading in a way that helps them thrive. There's a proverb out there. I just read out here in your studio, the African proverb, if you want to go somewhere fast, you go alone. But if you want to go somewhere far, you go together. Where do you think that starts? Man and woman going together. And if either party is not down for that ride, you're not going to go far. And I think we're all living through an age where our generations before us didn't go far. And they were sold a bill of goods that didn't pan out. All of us leaving our homes and going to work. Like, great for the economy. We women pump up a lot of money into this whole ecosystem. But what has happened to our families? As a result, it's like we supposed to be hosting the cookouts now. We supposed to be hosting holidays. None of us know how to do that though. None of us want to either. And our parents don't want to be the grandparents that watch the kid. So it's like, hold on, wait a second. How did we get to this place where as a society, at least for us, for our people, nobody wants to be at home doing the most foundational, important work to build people. We want to build bank accounts, but we don't want to build people. Like, how does that work? And we end up in a position now where people are so quick to talk about people's marriages, people's expectations of their kids. Oh, you got an iPad kid. Oh, we're a screen-free family. And it's like, child, we are so off topic. We have lost the plot. Because why is it that we're not building a society that helps people feel loved by their family members and creates an atmosphere where mothers can be with their children more, or fathers can be with their children more, or not? We haven't built a world that looks like that. So it's on us as individuals to build our worlds like that. So you do what you have to do, and that looks like sometimes sacrificing. Could I have 2 cars and a bigger house, if my husband worked? Absolutely. But we choose to have my husband not have a corporate job and me build the business that I have so that we can be a family together at the house with these kids.
Goodness gracious.
We choose that. That's not a consolation prize. We can't do anything else. No, that is a conscious choice. Because I don't care what else I do, what brand deal, what platform, what anything over here, but if my kids don't get the best of me, I'm not doing it right. I'm losing the plot. If my husband's not getting the best of me, if God is not getting the best of me, I'm not doing it right.
So let's talk a little bit before we get off this topic of just this, your beautiful world. I think it's filled with joy. It's filled with beauty. It's clearly filled with Christ. You guys have been very transparent, not only as individuals, but as a unit about a lot of the things that you're traversing, whether it be in business, in your relationship, like what was the call to say, like, let's share?
Yeah. I
also think... forget these cards, because at this point I'm like, baby, throw them on the floor. Okay.
So I think it was just this something in us knew that we were supposed to do a podcast. So we did a podcast 2-3 years ago now. We did it, the Godbolt Life podcast. And that's where we really dig into our marriage, our relationship, things that we've been through, our walk with God. And even that, we started sharing that and producing that years ago. And we've changed even so much since that has been produced. But it's still very much a snapshot of where we were then and the things that we've been through. And I think it's really a general call for both of us to simply allow God to show through who we are, and to know that that social media and having platforms is all great to build business, to make money, all these things, right? But at the end of the day, what is God's point of view of it all? If you have connection to this many people, thousands of people on a regular basis, what does God actually want you to show? Yeah. He wants you to show him. Yeah. So at that time, showing him was showing the truth of our marriage, showing the truth of trying to figure it out in this day and age with Christ in the middle, and how that doesn't always look like cookie cutter, picture perfect. We're not the grew up in church, we pastor kid. That's not our story. I didn't grow up in church. I'm not that girl. I was the girl that was literally had a section for my 18th birthday with a fake ID in Austin, Texas. Okay. On 6th Street. Okay. Out here. Yes. Had my first drink at 12. Yeah. I'm not that girl. But God is so gracious and so kind that anything that you give to him, he will redeem. My husband and I should not have the family we have. We should not be living the life we live. Yeah. But the platform and the purpose on our lives, I can't talk about nobody else's purpose. Everybody has their own, right? But for us, it's our obedience and our call has been to be out here, showing it. Yeah, that's why I think God has not released me to do anything else. Yeah, because he's I need you to show my kids what it looks like. Yeah, what it can look like. Yeah, because a lot of us, think about it, who do we listen to for real that we don't know intimately? Look, some people may be okay listening to a pastor standing on a stage that you don't do life with. I'm not, though, because I don't come from that cloth where I just listen to people talk. Yeah. I need to see it. Yeah, I need to see you actually live out the things that you're talking about. Exactly, because I've seen it too many times where you talk one way and you act another way. There's a lot of that, and in church especially, there are people who are just faking the funk. Yeah, and I'm I come from the world. Yeah. Y'all think you're that different. You're actually not. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of people out here living truthfully in their mess. But at least they're honest about it. At least they're being truthful about it. I don't do fake. Yeah. I'm not I can't, because at the end of the day, it's not because I'm any sort of way. It's because God has called me to be sensitive to the spirit of truth. Yes. So if you're somebody who is I can't handle fake, it's not because you're crazy or you don't like people. It's because you are sensitive to the spirit of truth. And a lot of this stuff out here is a lie. Yeah. And so it's for me, I know that God has positioned me and made me in a way where somehow I got the courage. Yep. The courage to tell my business to people I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The courage to place my husband, my marriage, my family on public platforms where people can say anything they want to say and have any sort of opinion that they want to say.
Yeah.
But I have
the dark side of the internet.
Absolutely. And I've been cyberbullied. I've been cyberbullied since I was 13 years old.
Insane.
Like, I've been through all that stuff. And yet and still here I am because I'm obedient. Because I'm like, God wants me here.
Yeah.
And this is the only reason why it's still working.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't want me here, I would not be here.
Fair.
And low key, sometimes I still don't want to be here. But I am because I'm obedient and I'm going to be faithful to the call. And that doesn't always look like you want to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do the things that you're called to even when you don't want to do them. That's the whole thing.
Right.
You can't just do things you want to do all the time. And our generation is very much like, I want to be a girl boss. I want to be this. I want to be that. So I'm going to do everything I want to do to get to where I want to be. Yep. I.
Yes.
And like, I used to subscribe to all of that. And I had to let it go. And it's painful to let go. It's painful to burn down.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to burn it all down before God can build it up, before God can literally make beauty from ashes.
Absolutely.
You got to burn it. You got to have some ashes.
Oh man, this has been phenomenal. And let's talk a little bit about the world of things as a creator, because what we also know is it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. There are typically teams, there are people behind you that kind of help to facilitate the day-to-day of what is quite literally, my English accent, quite literally, a business. You are an entrepreneur. So what has that looked like with all of the discernment that you now have with your journey to, you know, this reformation? Like, what has team looked like and meant for you in this season?
Yeah, so it's been kind of all over the place, honestly. I've felt the least capable in this era of my life. I feel like I've been trying to still mimic what I see other people do and try to make them work for me, and feeling the full gist of that ain't gonna work. Like, people aren't gonna be in my life for as long as I think they're gonna be in my life. Like, I think that I'm gonna choose a team one time and then they're gonna be with me forever.
Oh my gosh,
you know?
that's me.
And it's like, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna find the perfect manager, the perfect, and then they're gonna be with me forever.
Right off into the sun,
And it's like, no, everybody is here for a season, and some seasons are very short. And for me, I feel like I've had people coming in and out, and I'm such a like loyal person. I love people so hard, even in a professional capacity. So it's hard for me when it's like time to walk away from somebody, or time a relationship starts to change, not because of me, but maybe because of them. You know, like, God will remove people from you and you don't understand why, personally, professionally. So that's also like kind of been the volatility of like what I do. It's like, I've had multiple different management agencies. I've had multiple different kind of like virtual assistants and editors come and go over the years. And now I think I'm just realizing that it's okay that things are like that. It's okay that people come and go. It's not going to determine where this ship goes, though. Like, I have to be okay with people getting on and off, and not expect everybody who gets on at first to stay for the whole time. And I think that's a huge lesson, because you tend to find safety in people. So it's like, as long as you got your girl with you, like, you're good. And it's like, no. As long as you got God with you, you're good. So like, detaching this idea that like people are attached to my purpose. They're not. People can decide at any point whether they want to be with me or not be with me. And I find that either that happens, or God is like, this season is up with this person, so it's time to go. And I'm like, but wait, I still love them. And it's like, no, that's not the way you do business. You do business my way. And like, he's going to have you doing things. I don't understand why I'm not going to be with this person anymore, but here we are. I'm going to listen to the Holy Spirit. When it says leave, I'm going to leave this agency, whatever. So I feel like now I just signed with a new management agency. Like I was kind of telling you before. I feel really good about it. And I'm excited to venture into this. Even from like a faith perspective, I never had my faith be a priority when choosing like who I worked with.
Yes.
But now it very much so is.
Yeah.
So like my manager is a believer. My assistant is a believer. Like the people that I work with as far as like editing are believers. Yeah. Like I have to do that because this is God's. And we can totally use people that aren't in the same faith as us. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In my situation, in this season, that's what God wants me to do. So
let's talk about your bravery, because one thing, we come from a similar world but different functions, and one thing that you've done recently is talk about your experience as a creator and not necessarily having the best management team to facilitate where you were. Transparency, amongst other things.
Yeah.
That was brave.
Oh,
and we talked about this world right now is unregulated when it comes to brands, creators, being underserved, some being overserved, some being so can you talk a little bit about why you wanted to share that?
Yes.
And kind of, have you gotten any feedback as far as the impact on, other creators?
So just to clarify, my manager, so I had this situation with an agency called Takumi.
Yep.
And they were an agency that essentially ran campaigns for influencers and brands to collaborate on, right? So my management team represents me, right, in that situation. But the agency, Takumi, for example, runs the campaigns. They communicate with my agency communicates with me, and it's kind of like this.
So they're basically, when we're thinking about contractual obligations, they're helping with deliverables, contracts, executions.
Right,
okay.
right. So, because everybody doesn't understand how this world works, right? So, in that, I was dissatisfied with my management at the time and what they were able to do as far as advocating for me to get paid on time, because that was the issue. Is like I wasn't getting paid on time. I was, months and months late on multiple invoices.
I'm sorry, no. There are kids.
There are literal babies that need to be fed and mortgages to be paid.
Yes.
And I was late on a lot of money from this one agency from different jobs that I did. And when I finally spoke up about it, it was the first time I had ever done something like that. Because, I've been in this I've been making money from brands since 2013. Yeah. Right? So I am a professional creator full-time since 2016. It's 2025. So it's not my first rodeo. And I don't work with brands that are like sketchy. Yeah. Right? So like I have a thorough vetting process of like who I work with and blah, 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 blah. And it was just an unfortunate situation because it just showed me that like there is so much volatility in this industry that didn't even exist 5 years ago, right? And like there's all these moving parts. There's so many people involved, the different agencies, the different brand reps, the different, creators, the agencies that represent the creators, all this stuff. And it came to a point where I was like, okay, I have to say something publicly because I know that whenever you put public pressure on a brand or an agency, they answer.
Absolutely.
Okay. So like I had to do that. But also I ended up talking to the CEO of the agency, and he's, shedding some light on some disturbing facts about what they did with my money and other creators' money. Yeah. And when I posted about it, I had a lot of people DM me, people's lawyers, like tons of creators DMing me like, hey, we're owed money too. Like, did you figure out what happened? Blah, blah. And I said, honestly, even me talking to the CEO of that Takumi, I still didn't get fully paid for all the work that I did. Wow. I got one invoice out of 2 that were outstanding paid out. But I'm still to this day I'm not compensated for the work that I did last year. I've chucked it as a loss. Yeah. But for some people, like they have no closure. They have no, I don't even know what's going on with that agency at this point. But at the time that I talked to the CEO back in November of 2024, they had gotten a new bank loan from the bank in the UK, bank in the UK. They were still operating. Now, I don't know if that's the case anymore, but it was just all shady. Yeah. And it's like, we're not talking about shady with like a couple $100. We're talking about shady with thousands and thousands of dollars. And a lot of the creators that reached out to me about saying that they hadn't gotten paid had huge followings, like 500K, 1 million followers on TikTok, on Instagram, huge people. So I'm like, I know those budgets were high. Yeah. They did the work. The brands that were working with Takumi were huge. Yeah. Revlon, L'Oreal, Maxi-Cosi, Pfizer, like huge brands.
Wow.
So you're not talking about just like, you know, small mom and pop businesses that like don't understand the industry. No. This is like legitimate. And so even now in the last couple years in general, I have had, I would say 80% of my invoices are paid late.
Wow.
That was never the case for years before that.
Yeah.
And I've been, again, full-time for so long.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's people's lack of urgency because they're doing so many campaigns now, what that is. But I've seen people talking about, especially creators of color, talking about this online because I don't know why it's only, I know it can't only be happening to us. I would love to think that it's not just happening to us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't shock me if it was the case. Like, our pay is lower than everybody else. We don't get treated the same way. The thing is, for me, what I've chosen to do with that reality is to believe that my God is bigger.
Yeah.
If he's called me to it, he's got me taken care of.
Yeah.
I could be stressed about the money that I'm owed because it was a lot of money, but he has redeemed that.
Yeah.
This all belongs to him. That's where my faith is set up.
Yeah.
And I just know that as creators, like, what we do is very intimate. Like, we share our lives for a living.
Yes.
It's very intimate. It's very personal. So, of course, like, when you're not being treated well, you're not being paid, like, it is a big deal.
I have many thoughts. I think a thing that used to really rub my feathers the wrong way is just about, I think, the rules of engagement. Again, we talked about how unregulated the space is. We talked about payment terms, or you briefly alluded to it. But I think that that's the biggest thing for me. And these are people who are sharing their lives, who have families to feed, who are essentially promoting your business. And there are instances where there are 90-day payment terms. For those of you who don't understand what that means, like, you literally submit your work and you may not be paid for 90 days, even though that campaign is running hot and live.
Oh, yeah.
And
paid ads going behind it. Everything else is good, but you are the last to get paid.
Last to get paid.
Yeah.
And even saying like paid ads or boosted ads, like, there could be millions of dollars worth of media that is put behind a piece of content your favorite creator makes, but they're not being paid for 180 days, 90 days.
It happens so insane. Much. It's so prevalent now, and it's scary because, what do people do? They struggle. It's feast or famine constantly, unless you are making enough to buffer that, right? So, like, even for me, like, I started using bill.com, which allows, if I think it's you have to have certain things, but like, they have a finance option where you can finance your invoices before they're paid out for a certain amount of time with no interest.
Brilliant.
And then you start paying interest on that. Obviously, there's like a small upfront, 2% or 3% fee, but you can at least get your payout a little bit faster than waiting out the late, however payment or whatever it is. So that's been a godsend for me because I'm like, something's got to give here. There's got to be something where we as creators can have a buffer, because right now we really don't. And for me, this is my livelihood. So I had to get better about thinking strategically, financially, and just like realistically being nimble and saying, okay, like, what can we do? How can I be better? And it's hard to be better with money that is not in your bank account yet. It's hard to budget better when you don't have money. It's like, I would love to have, 3 months worth of, and I made 3 months worth of my living expenses in one job, but the money ain't in my account yet.
Exactly.
So what am I supposed to do today when my kids are hungry? Like, it's a very real thing, and everybody wants to be a creator. But then there's also this other side, and it's not to scare people.
But it's the reality.
It's the reality. So that's why, like, being very aware of whether you are called to this or not, that's imperative. Sometimes you have a gift for editing and gift for being on camera, and you're not supposed to monetize it. Not every gift is supposed to be monetized. Sometimes you're just good at something because God wants you to have a joy in life.
Exactly.
While you're doing the thing you got to do, He has given you something that brings you pure joy, that nobody has a say in, that you have total freedom to operate in. Like,
Amen.
a hobby.
Yes.
What's wrong with having a hobby?
Yes.
You know, and like knowing the difference. But in America, we want to capitalize on everything. We do anything good. And we're like, how can I make money from this?
Yeah.
But I also understand the other side because everything is expensive. Yes. Living and breathing is like you breathe and your bank account goes negative $10.
Yeah.
Just breathing.
Yes.
You can't even buy eggs without being like, dang, these eggs are expensive.
Yes.
Like, I can't even make nothing for my kid. You know, so it's so much pressure to financially survive. And so there's this spirit of desperation in all of our lives that it's like, again, going back to why I'm so heavily planted in my faith. Mm-hmm. Because how are you doing this without Christ?
Yeah.
How are you living out here without Jesus? Yeah. Because, well, I do know. You're self-medicating.
Yeah.
You're shopping all the time. You're intoxicated. Yep. You're in other ways inebriated with something else to distract you from the reality of like, this world kind of sucks right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a way to find joy. There's a way to have peace. There's a way to say, looking at the same circumstances and have so much joy in your heart, so much peace in your life, so much love in your life. That is why this matters. That's why people are those who are really into their faith are so serious about it.
Yeah.
That's why I am, because I'm like, I have struggled more in the last 6 months. I have been scared more in the last 6 months of my life than ever before.
Yeah.
But God came through.
Yeah.
He's my anchor. He is like, the Holy Spirit is my comforter. Mm-hmm. Like truly, I don't just say that because it sounds good.
Yeah.
It is literally the thing that has kept my head above water.
Yeah.
And like me and my husband able to still raise kids who have joy and kindness in their heart. Because despite everything going on, like I need them to know that there is hope and a future for them despite all this other stuff going on.
Absolutely.
And that's my job as mom, right? To create an outlook for them where they can walk into a world and not be consumed by it.
Yeah.
And not be brought down by it.
Absolutely.
By the lies that everything is terrible and everything sucks. Yeah, that could be the reality, but the other reality is God is good.
God is so good.
And He has made a way for you in every valley, every wilderness, every situation. I could look at my situation the past few months, even with the whole Takumi situation and payments being late and all this stuff, and be like, oh my gosh, this sucks. I need to find something. I could have this like negative outlook on it, but I choose not to.
Yeah.
I choose to say, God, like, show me this through your eyes. Mm. Because you get glory when I see that my weakness is a perfect situation for your strength to show up.
Yeah.
Like, I can look at this like everything is bad, but I could also look like I am experiencing miracles every day.
Absolutely.
We are experiencing miracles every day, but you have to believe it and you have to look at it through heaven's eyes and not through the world's eyes, because everything is doom and gloom in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm not from here.
Yeah.
My home ain't here.
Yeah.
So I have a different perspective, and that perspective is available to all of us.
Yeah.
We just have to choose it and seek it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This has been amazing. And I cannot close without us talking about the curls, honey.
Okay.
The heatless curls.
Let's talk
we
about
gotta
hair.
talk about
Let's
it.
talk
Okay.
about hair.
So we may not be lipstick and curls any longer.
No.
And hair is not the crux of everything that you do. You are so much more than that. You are multifaceted, and we talked about this, and God is at the center. But one thing that you have been sharing a lot lately is your journey with your hair, but in a different sense. And it's been beautiful. It's been, I think, us as a community where we may not be leaning heavily into natural hair and products to support natural hair like we were before, are still we will forever be on this journey of like,
what am I doing with my hair? Yeah. What are we doing?
And like how do I maintain it? How do I not fry it every day? So tell us a little bit about your heatless curl journey, because she walked past when she got here, and my previous guest was like, I saw that hair, and I was like, it's so pretty. So tell us about what that's been like for you.
So it's funny because my hair is such a Abraham Isaac situation. Like literally, like God said, give it back. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Literally went from being known for my hair, my curly hair, to then God being like, no more curls, no more this, and eventually chopping it all off. And I never big chopped before 2023 or end of 2022, whenever I did it. And then now growing it back out and exploring this idea of like roller sets and wearing my hair in like a straight natural style, right? Because like I'm still natural, but I wear it in a straightened state most of the time, but still caring about the health of my hair. So like my curls are still there, but realizing that my hair is such a marker of who I am in this season. And every season, our hair is our identity, right? Like it is so part of like who we are showing up as in the era of our lives that we were in, right? So like when I was young in my 20s and kind of discovering like who Jade was outside of being a kid and all that stuff, it was like my curly hair really was like a self-exploration journey, right? And I think that's the truth for a lot of us, is like we venture into like learning our natural hair because we're like, well, who am I? You know, who can I be if I'm just me, my natural texture, all that stuff, right? But now I had to, again, talking about like relationship with a thing. I had to look at what was my relationship with my hair. Was it the way that God wanted me to have a relationship with my hair? And it was turned bad. It turned into, it was part of this idol that I built that was lipstick and curls. And the idol wasn't just my idol. It was an idol that other people had as well. You know, when you have people taking your hair to their hairstylist and saying, I want that for years, and then also having opinions like when I straighten my hair, people be like, well, where are the curls? And then, you know, it's like everybody having an opinion about your hair. And it's like, hold on, wait a second, what is this, you know? But when I started roller setting my hair, it was out of nowhere. It was just okay, I'm kind of growing my hair out. I don't know what to do with it right now. It's short. It's kind of awkward. What can I do to just like switch it up and have fun with something new? And I was like, let me just roller set it. And I just started sharing it. It's such a God thing, because I would have never thought that like roller sets would be like the new thing, mom, you know, and auntie but it's giving mom era. It's giving like and it unlocked something. And I believe this is so spiritual, because it's like it's the nostalgia. It's the my mom used to wear her hair like that. My aunt used to wear her hair like that, and we are kind of also
and they were beautiful women.
It's like whenever you're a child and you're like looking at the people around you and you're like, when you imagine what is the epitome of beauty, you look at your mom, you look at your aunts, your cousins, the older sisters, the older, you know, Claire Huxtable on the Cosby. You're like, that is what beauty is, right? And it's like, not to, again, position somebody as the image of beauty, but it's this idea that the beauty really isn't the hair. It was like the care and the time and the feelings that we had.
And the simplicity of it too, right?
Like, it's not complicated.
Overcomplicated it for a while.
Absolutely. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of maintenance that comes into having natural hair. Like, let's not get it twisted. Like, you really have a lot of work to do when your hair is natural. And I think we're unlocking something that our mothers and our aunts and our grandmothers knew, which was like, you need a style that's going to last you through the week, that you can roll up at night and take it down in the morning, and you good to go. And you are presentable and you feel good about yourself and you look good, feel good. And that's what it is for me. It's like, I can't do wash and goes on a regular basis no more. I can't. It's too much. It's too much. I ain't got the time that I had when I was 25. Okay. I'm closer to 35 now. I'm 34. And now I got 4 little kids running around. I need my hair to be ready to go. I do my little set every 2 weeks, and I love my hair like this. And it's more about the spirit behind how you feel about yourself. And I think that's what it's all kind of like, hitting all those layers, hitting all those taste buds. It's like a little salty, a little sweet, a little, you know, spicy, because the roller set is doing something for me, for other people, that is kind of like opening back up this idea of like softness and beauty being coming from within, and your hair being full of life and just like flowing. And there's something to that.
And I think it's also, like you said, it's it's this ease. A lot of us millennials are now parents.
Yes.
We are busier than ever before. Yeah. And so having the ease of like, I can show up. Yes. And I can wake up and I can just, do my life without having to add the complexity.
Yeah.
It means a lot. Yeah. Okay. So tell everyone where they can find you. Not that most of y'all don't know, but tell everyone where they can find you.
Yes.
And if you have anything exciting that you want to share, it's coming up.
Sure. Yeah. So everyone can find me, Jade Godbolt, on everything: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Substack. All the things, Jade Godbolt. And I'm just sharing my life, y'all. I am working on some other things that we kind of talked about under the surface. We'll share soon. Yeah. But, I am truly just trying to share who God is through my content, through my life. And I'm just open to whatever God does with that. So if there's an opportunity, if there's just anything out there that God calls me to, I'm going. Yeah. So keep up with me, okay? Yes. Keep up with me. Yes. Let's stay connected. And thank you for having me again. This is so good.
Thank you for coming by. Listen, as a mom of 1, you are a mom of 4, and with your bonus child 5. Yes. I know, what it takes to be like, I'm going to get up today. I'm going to put on some clothes. I'm going to do the thing, and I'm going to go do something with or for somebody. Yeah. And I am so, so grateful to you. I'm glad to spend this time with you. 9 years since our first time. And then we're going to do it 9 years again.
Oh, my gosh. See where we are now. Okay. Like, let's see. Look. The future 9 years, I want it to be like, how Oprah has those interviews in her garden? Yes. That's how I want it. I want it to be like, that's the level that we gonna be at, okay, in 9 years. I'm gonna be
Meghan Markle with the beekeeping.
Look, like, I'm in my with Love Jade era. I am not kidding, y'all. I hosted a group of people, my friends, this past weekend. Yes. I threw a little tea party, skincare party for the girls. Oh. I put little skincare baskets. I was like, I am so inspired by Meghan Markle, aka Megan Sussex. Listen, okay, let's get her name right. Yes. She gonna tell us. Uh-huh. But I am so inspired by that show. There's a lot of people hating on that show. Yes. Absolutely not. Do not come for my girl. Yeah. She is unlocking something in me. Yep. I want to be a soft black mama who is just like loving everybody, making sure you're fed, making sure you feel comfortable, like heartfelt. Yes. Like, that's what we want. Like, stop playing us, okay? Stop playing Megan.
I'm telling you, I respect her journey as well.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, thank you so much. This is so much fun. And that's it, y'all. See you next time.